Brand X Reviews. This one I'm going to be doing a review of the DVD of Sabotage. Now, I did review this film when it was released in cinemas in the UK back in May. I think it was released significantly prior to that in the USA, maybe a couple of months. So this it's probably been released in America already, so it might not be of much interest. But this is the UK version. I don't know what the differences are. Now, as I said, I saw this film in cinemas and I did review it back in May, so I'm not really going to get too much into the film itself. I will just kind of start though, just before I talk about the DVD specifically, because I don't think I really got into this in my previous review. This is a film that is directed by a pretty good director who I didn't really realise I owned most of his films. I mean, sometimes I'll have a collection of things that I've kind of gathered, like say John Carpenter, for example. When I was collecting those ones I hadn't seen, and I just bought them all pretty much just so I could see them and own them. In this case, I didn't actually realise I've kind of already collected all these films without knowing it, because he's done some really good ones. And in some cases, he's not always directed them. In some cases, he's just written them and produced them. Typical example, Training Day. He didn't direct that one. It was Antoine Fuqua who directed that. He's done a lot of other good films like Shooter and stuff like that, but this was written and maybe produced, I think. Well, it was written anyway by David Ayer, the director of Sabotage. And of course, everyone has heard of this film. It won an Oscar or two, I think, for, well, Best Actor, Denzel Washington. And it's a really good film anyway. There's a very common theme with this film. They tend to deal with corrupt cops in LA. Not always corrupt, but usually cops in LA, usually corrupt. Again, another one, Dark Blue. This was directed by Ron Shelton, but it was written by David Ayer. And this one with Kurt Russell, and it's kind of set around the time of the LA riots in, I think it was 1991. I think it was released in 2002, was this film, and I've owned it since pretty much when the film came out, so quite a lot of years. Good film anyway. Like I say, Kurt Russell is always good. And again, crooked cop in LA. Harsh Times, this one came out, I think I bought it in 2007, it maybe came out the year before that, because it had been reduced in price, I think, when I bought it, but one with Christian Bale, and he plays a corrupt cop in LA, I think it is, to be honest. But again, this one is directed by David Ayer and was written by him as well. Very good film, definitely recommend. Again, if you like Christian Bale as well, he's his usual kind of crazy self in that. And then he plays like mental characters. So yeah, again, crazy cop in LA thing going on. Now he wrote the original of the new franchise, Fast and Furious, The Fast and The Furious. That was not to be confused with Fast and Furious, which is actually the fourth film in the franchise. He wrote this, and it's probably, in my opinion, it's the weakest one in the franchise, following the second one closely behind that. A recent film that David Ayer wrote and directed, End of Watch, which is a very good film. I only just saw this for the first time yesterday, actually. I got it in a bargain bucket, very cheap, and that's why I bought it. I just thought, I've heard good things about it, but it's really good. Again, written and directed by David Ayer. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. There's another one called Street Kings. I got this one recently in a double set where you get the second one. I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, the first one is fairly well liked, I guess. So again, he didn't direct it, but he wrote it, from what I gather anyway. There's a couple of others. There's other ones that he's written and directed. There's one coming out actually in, I think, October with Brad Pitt, set in World War II, called Fury. So I'll probably review that if I get to go see it. But anyway, this review, I've kind of ranted on a bit about the director, and the point of this review is to kind of talk about the DVD and what you get. Now, I was looking in the shop when I was considering either getting it on Blu-ray or DVD. The only difference was the price. The extra features do seem to be exactly the same. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of randomly says deleted scenes, alternate endings. It doesn't say the number of deleted scenes, but I assume it's the same. Now, like I say, I already reviewed the film itself, so I'm just going to talk about the extra features. Now, if I can just kind of do this without pressing any of the wrong buttons. Yeah, so we've got the extra features, and I'll show you what you get. And I'm going to give you a bit of advice here as well. If you've got this and haven't accessed these extras yet, watch the alternate endings after you've watched the deleted scenes, because there is an alternate ending which kind of doesn't make sense unless you've watched the deleted scenes. So, what we've got is deleted scenes, doesn't list them on here, but there's a number of things. There's like a kind of a story arc between the female cop in it and her I think he's the black guy that is her partner. I don't know if it's a partner or he just kind of follows her around. But there's a whole story arc with them two where there's like a little girl missing and they're like looking for her in a field, all that kind of stuff that was deleted out just for pacing, I think. But the most dramatic thing that's in there is there's a bit at the end where she goes to retrieve the money. This is set after the shootout. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a big shootout at the end on the streets, and all of his team get killed, and Arnie's team get killed, and he shoots the druggy woman. So the deleted scenes kind of picks up after there. The female cop figures out where Arnie has kept the money. It's underwater, so she takes a boat basically and goes out there near to where Arnie's house is, and dives down, gets the money, pulls it out, and her partner, the black guy, is kind of walking around on the dock bit, and Arnie just kind of comes out of nowhere and just stabs him and shoots at the woman, but she dives into the water, and that's the end of the delete scene section. Now, alternate ending number 1, which is called Caroline, that then picks up where the deleted scenes end off. So she's jumped into the water. He basically has gone into the water to try and get her, to try to kill her, because she's going to stop him. She's got his money, kind of thing, and she's going to kind of blow his cover. So they have this massive fight. Anyway, it's a bit kind of unrealistic because she's actually getting the better of him through quite a lot of it. She's like jumping on him, like punching him, and he's having a hard time kind of fighting her off. But then he does actually kind of fight her off a bit, and he's pretty brutal. He's proper laying into her. I mean, it's like boom, boom, right in the face. You know, literally no punches are pulled at this point. How the hell this film is a 15 certificate? See, all that's going in, and she's like jumping on him, and eventually throws her back into the water, and she just vanishes. So she's like basically swimming away underwater. So she's escaping. He climbs out of the water, gets the money in the suitcases that he's got, these big yellow airtight suitcases full of the money that he stole at the beginning of the film, and goes out and gets into his car, and then the police pull up. Now this is where it gets even worse. I know why they didn't go with this ending, because it's basically Arnie is a bad guy. However you look at it, you know, whatever his reasons, he's a bad guy. He's an evil bastard. You can see kind of how he's got there. His family got killed, but it has really corrupted him. And this isn't how the theatrical version, well, this isn't how the film, any edit of the film ends. This is an alternate ending. Isn't incorporated in with the film, it's just an extra feature. But what happens is, anyway, the police come, and he basically shoots the police that arrive. They just don't even have a chance. He just blows them away, kind of thing. And then the female police officer then turns up, pulls a gun on him, and she says to him, well, you know, God, evil bastard, like, why did you do it? And he said, well, they betrayed me, they, like the police, his people, all that, they wouldn't let Arnie save his family. He could have saved them. You know, if they'd have let him exchange himself for them, they'd still be alive, but they wouldn't let him. So he blames them. That's why he's like so ruthlessly just killing everybody, including the police. He just doesn't care at this point. And his plan, obviously, is to take the money and go to Mexico and, like, you know, kill the guy, as seen in the actual cut of the film. But the difference between alternate ending 1 and 2 is, in ending 1, it's Caroline that lives. She's pulled a gun on Arnie when he's in the car. He's kind of going for his gun. He explains, like I said, this is the reason why I'm killing everybody, because my family's dead because of everybody, blaming everybody. And he goes for his gun, she blows him away, and that's it. Real crap ending, really dark ending, really pointless as well. I'm glad they didn't go with that. Then there's ending number 2, pretty much the same, and it picks up where the woman's, where Arnie's coming out of the water and the woman's kind of vanished. He goes, takes the money again, puts it in his car. The police come. Actually, no, the police don't come. That's another difference. So he doesn't kill as many people in alternate ending number 2. The woman comes, pulls a gun on him again, says, like, why are you doing it? He explains it slightly differently, though, in this one. He says that his family were sold out by one of his own team to the Mexican drug cartel. So that's another slight difference in version alternate ending number 2. And then what happens is she tells him to like put his hands up, and he's kind of going for a gun, and she starts like, she's about to shoot him, but then he kills her basically, and then drives off. And that would have then tied in with the actual ending where he goes to Mexico and kills the guy that killed his wife and his son as well. So I'm really glad they didn't go with those alternative endings, because they are so grim. And I mean, the film is grim enough as it is, but it is redeemed by you understanding why he sold out in terms of his people and stealing the money and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he deserves to go to jail for what he's done, but you can see why he did it. And I think most people, if they had the capabilities Arnie had, they would do the same. I would do the same. If I was married and somebody killed my wife and child, I would do pretty much whatever it took, as long as I wasn't killing innocent people, which he does in the alternate endings. That's the difference. So it wasn't a redeemable character if they'd have gone with that. I'm kind of ranting now, anyway. But that's what it is, anyway. So like I say, if you're going to watch these, if you haven't watched them yet, the order that it's kind of shown in, I watched the alternate endings first, then I watched the deleted scenes. So I was like, what the hell? I didn't understand how we got to that point there. But if you watch the deleted scenes first, it then shows you how it kind of gets to alternate endings 1 and 2. Now, other extras, you've got a making of thing as well, which I won't put on, but it's about 8 minutes long, and it's just kind of interviews, stuff like that, as you would normally expect. So that's my review anyway of the thing. Like I say, I reviewed the film itself in more detail back in May, so if you check out brandxreviews.com, you'll see it in the archives. I think that's pretty much it anyway for this. If you're an Arnie fan, I'm not quite sure what his next few films are going to be, to be honest. I do know he's doing a Terminator 5, which is coming out next year, I think in May time. I'm a bit kind of sceptical about that. Now, I think just because I don't really know much about it, to be honest. I did like the others. I even liked them before. I know that makes me a heathen, but and it didn't have Arnie in it, so it's not all that related. Well, it did. It was a CGI Arnie, but still. I'll be reviewing that when it comes out anyway. And there's also a Terminator review as well of the Terminator franchise at brandxreviews.com. So again, if through watching this review, because you're interested in Arnie films, check out my Terminator retrospective. And I'll leave it there now because I'm kind of rambling on a bit. So, as I say, brandxreviews.com, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.